Good afternoon and welcome to Integrated for Simplicity. Please give a warm welcome for Corporate Vice President, Microsoft, Brad Anderson.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's so great to be here with you. This is really the highlight of the year for all of us. It's just an opportunity to come and learn and show you some of the things they've been working on. And I'll tell you, as engineers, to get a chance to talk with all of you and to see how you're using what we build, it really is the greatest time of our lives. So let's jump in and kind of talk about a few things. You know, if you look throughout history, there are these big breakthroughs that have come at times, and those breakthroughs always address whatever was the biggest challenge of that era. You know, and in each case, there were scientists and scholars who were on the verge of doing these amazing things, but they ran into bottlenecks. Now, with each of these breakthroughs, the work accelerated, but the work also simplified and streamlined. You know, but there was one huge challenge as we started the 17th century that had never been addressed yet, and it was a really big one. You know, on countless occasions, there were scientists, there were scholars, these individuals who were on the verge of doing amazing things, but they dropped their research because they figured out the time that's going to be required to complete all the math would actually extend past their lifetime, and so they gave up. But one man changed the world, and we all benefit from that today. So let me walk you through that. In 1614, this individual, John Napier, a little older gentleman living in Scotland, treasure hunter, inventor, you know, an interesting character. As he traveled around the world, literally, he carried a box of spiders in his pocket and a black rooster that he believed was magical. But what he did was magical. He had been working for 20 years on 10 million calculations on paper by hand, which he organized, and he published the world's first logarithmic tables. That logarithmic table that he defined back in 1614 was one of those moments when history changed, because as he did that, the physical science surged. And so what you had happen is these logarithmic tables simplified things. Now people could do 1,000 times more work in 1,000th of the time. And you know, we see evidence around us everywhere on this. Modern transportation, the architecture, the building we're in right now, the software that our lives depend on, all depends on logarithms. And so just like in 1614, there was this moment in history when the world changed and our species accelerated, I think we're at a similar place right now when I think about all of us as IT professionals. What I'm going to walk you through is all the things that we're now able to do in the cloud and how we're able to learn and bring that intelligence to you. And just like those logarithmic tables, it's going to simplify what you do, and it's going to accelerate the work that you do, and it's going to enable you to empower your organizations to achieve more. And so first of all, let's start talking about where we all exist today. We're all trying to transform. This concept of digital transformation, as we all try to take advantage of all the new technologies surrounding us, is just such an opportunity. But we're all starting in different places, and all of us have legacy that we bring along. And so our view to you is we want to help you take all your existing on-premises infrastructure. We want to help you connect it to the cloud so that it literally is cloud-connected IT. And as you do this, what then we can do is we can bring to bear all that knowledge, all that intelligence that we build in the cloud, and we can bring it to your existing infrastructure and make it intelligent. Now, what's important for you as you're identifying who your key partners here are is you need to understand who's going to deliver you the intelligence to accelerate your efforts. Now, it's not about who has the most data. It's about who has the most interesting data. So let me tell you about some of the things that we collect and some of the insights that we get from this data that is very unique to Microsoft. So first of all, we service 450 billion authentications every month from 1.1 billion users of Azure Active Directory. We're announcing today that between Config Manager and Intune, we're managing over 150 million PCs and mobile devices. That's up 50% from a year ago when we were together. We now see 700 million Windows 10 devices deployed around the world, and we have over 135 million monthly active users of Office 365. Now, why this is important to you? That service, that use of that service at that kind of scale is what then gives us all these insights that help us through AI to learn and to accelerate your efforts. And the perspective that we have on here is unique because we're the only organization on the planet that has this kind of insights on identity, on productivity, on management and security. And with that knowledge, that forms the basis then of how we're able to advance what we're able to do with you and help you. And we literally take what we learn from the millions of devices, the billions of authentications, the trillions of data points that we receive, and then we actually apply that to your unique organization. And we learn from the many and apply to the few to help you. And that's what we call the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge acting together. So as you take and you connect your edge to our intelligent cloud, your edge becomes a part of the intelligent edge, and everything accelerates. Now that's foundational to what we do in Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 is that complete, secure, intelligent solution to empower your employees. Let me walk you through a little bit about how we think about this and just jump right into demos. We're going to spend the bulk of our time in demonstrations today. There are 4 promises of Microsoft 365 to you. We're going to help you unlock creativity for your users and for IT, enable you to work in teams. We're going to simplify the work that you do, and then we're going to build integrated security into it. Those are our promises. I am the engineering leader at the company for integrated simplicity for Microsoft 365, so that's where I spend all my time and efforts at. Really encourage you to stay seated here in this room. At the end of this session, Joy Chick and Rob Levers are going to be talking about intelligent security. Amazing innovation you're going to see there as well. And the two work together. You know, management and security, it's an integrated solution that you're going to want to make sure you take advantage of. So let's talk a little bit about kind of some of our principles as we think about it, just so you have the context. So first of all, when we talk about simplicity, simplicity is actually an architectural principle for us. And what I'll tell you is if you have a simple architecture, your end user solution is better, you're more secure, you're more agile. There's just this elegance about simplicity that we just strive for. And then in terms as we think about the modern workplace that we deliver with Microsoft 365, we want to deliver that across all your user screens. Now, most of your users' big screens are Windows and Macs. The medium-sized screens and the small screens are iOS and on Android. Microsoft 365 delivers that modern workplace across all of those devices with that beautiful Office experience, management security spanning all of it, to make sure that you empower your users to be productive on the devices that they want to use and that they love. So here's how we're going to spend our next hour. We're going to walk you through the work that we're doing to help you cloud connect your existing capabilities today. So what you have today and how you cloud connect it. Then we're going to show you how we're going to provide you and unlock superior insights and control. And then finally, we're going to help you understand how to shift to a modern desktop. And if you haven't seen the word modern desktop as you've walked through the convention center, I don't know how you could have missed it. So we're going to spend some time making sure you understand what that is. So first of all, let's talk about Cloud Connect, what you have today. And so the message we want to help you understand here is we want to help you start where you are today and start to advance that forward in this concept of a digital transformation. So first of all, we're walking through this transition right now, all of us, from where we've been at to where we want to be with the modern workplace. And so you look at this diagram for a minute. Let me kind of help you understand some of the key points. The top half of this really is a shift from one thing to another. So you're moving from Windows 7 to Windows 10. You're moving from Office to Office 365. Things like iManagement, security, and identity is really additive. So most of us are going to have Active Directory on premises for an awful long time. So you add Azure Active Directory, you extend your identity out to the cloud, and you get additional benefits and capabilities. Most of you are using Config Manager today for your PCs. Well, you extend that out to Microsoft 365 and Intune, and you get additional capabilities as well. It's not an either-or decision. Let me tell you a little bit interesting about some of the Defender and some of the anti-malware. This is about a transition from a signature-based model, like Windows Defender, to a model where it's behavioral-based, driven from intelligence in the cloud. Now, let me give you a couple of insights and data points on a couple of these. So first of all, I think everybody knows Active Directory and Azure Active Directory by far is the authoritative source for enterprise identity. Today, with Config Manager, we're managing about 75% of the world's PCs. And when I look at all the devices that are coming in that are being MDM managed around the world, in the last 90 days, more than 90% of those are being managed by Intune. So as the world is starting to take advantage of the MDM layer in Windows, they're doing that through Intune. Let me give you some fascinating data points on Defender. When I look in the Config Manager telemetry, what I see on Windows 7 and Windows 8 is that Defender is used on about 26% of the enterprise PCs. But when I look at Windows 10, Defender is used on more than 55% of the enterprise PCs that are deployed using Windows 10. Why? Because Windows Defender is really a good solution. And then because it's so integrated with Config Manager and Intune, it's simple for you, and so IT moves to it. And then you add on to that the Defender ATP capabilities, and now you have all that behavioral capability that comes from the cloud. And so you think about how you're making this transition to this modern workplace. This is one of the key things for you to keep in mind. So let's jump right in and start to look at how some of these pieces fit together. And the first thing I want to walk you through is all the value that you get as soon as you connect Config Manager to the cloud. Without changing a single thing, not changing a single policy, I want you to understand just the immediate things that come to your attention and you get to use as soon as you enable it. So we're going to jump here and we're going to go to the Intune console. So here I am in the Intune console, and the first thing I'm going to go look at here is all my devices. Now, what most people are doing as they start to use Intune is they use that for their mobile devices, and that's what the majority of you are doing today. You're using it to manage your iOS, Android, and Mac devices, but not yet your Windows devices. Now, when you turn on the co-management, you start to do cloud management, what happens then is all your Windows devices pop in, and so this is what it would look like after you're done. So the first big benefit that you get when you connect Config Manager to the cloud is you get unified reporting for Windows, iOS, Android, and Mac in one place, and that's the first benefit. Now let's go take a look at some other things I want you to see. I'm going to walk through a common scenario here and give you 3 more benefits that you get. So I'm going to come down here to the troubleshooting. Now the scenario here is an employee is called, they've left their PC in the lounge at the airport, and I want to show you some of the things that you get now as you add Intune to Config Manager. So I'm going to select the user here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to go look for the user Sage. So right here as I select Sage, the first thing I want you to see here is right here I can see all the conditional access policies that have been applied to Sage. Windows, iOS, Android, Mac. That's the second benefit you get when you connect Config Manager to the cloud is you get the ability to define conditional access policies that will ensure that only trusted users using trusted devices, using trusted apps get access to your data. And the only place you can do that is with Intune, but that's immediate value because that can be applied on top of your Config Manager deployment. Now let's scan down here a little bit. Now here's the PC that has been lost or has been left in the lounge. So I click into that, and what I want you to understand here now is because this is Intune and this is running as a cloud service, when I come up here and click on wipe, that device is wiped immediately. It's not waiting for a polling interval. Because this is a cloud service, I get the third benefit, which is immediate operational capabilities where I can take action on PCs right now. And if you think about it for a minute in context of those of you who use Config Manager and you worry about client health, because your devices are talking to Intune several times a day and Intune is talking to Config Manager, even if you have devices that never come behind the firewall physically or virtually, we understand where they're at, what their configuration is, because we get all that insights through Config Manager, through Intune, and that's the fourth big benefit. And so with that in mind, what I want you to understand here now is one of the first things I'm going to ask you to do is, when you get back, is go turn on what we've called co-management, connect Config Manager up into the cloud with Intune so you can start to do cloud management and take advantage of all the knowledge we have in the cloud. Now, I was thinking about the best way to show this to you. What's the best way to show you just how easy it is to enable this? And like you, I sit in a lot of demonstrations, and I often wonder if what I'm being shown on the screen is the happy path, and it's not what the normal users see, right? And so I thought to myself, what's the best way to show the audience here how simple it is? And I thought, well, I wonder if we could, as a customer that would come up on stage and live, turn on co-management in front of all of you. Sound good? All right. So do me a favor, and what we're going to do here is we're going to invite Kent to come up on stage. He's actually going to go turn on co-management live for his production tenant. Let's give him a hand. Oh, there we
Great, thanks.
Look at that, you got the dress code.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that until now.
Yeah,
All right, so Kent, tell us a little about your organization and kind of your history.
Yeah, so let me start by saying that I'm super excited to be here and take part of the whole Cloud Connect story. I've been in the client management industry, as you know, for plus 20 years, and I've in those years certainly seen and done a lot, but never before have I seen so few clicks from my hand here been bringing so many and immediate benefits to
you mentioned that backstage. I just want to repeat that. I've never seen so few clicks from my hand bring such immediate benefit to customers. Show us how you do it.
Yeah, so as you were saying, that I've remoted into my production environment in Copenhagen, and what can possibly go wrong in a live demo, right? So I've cheated a little bit. I've used my first click to sign in with my Azure credentials, as I was like, I'm not ready to share them with you yet. So let me go ahead and use click number 2. So going to this page here, I have to make an important decision, because am I going to automatically enroll my devices here, my pilot devices, or all of them into Intune? So I feel brave. I feel confident. So I'm going to select all of them, use my second click, and then simply going, hit summary, and there you go. I've just cloud connected our environment. So let's just finish that one up. And there we are, 4 clicks. So I know you released a video, the famous 4-click video earlier this year, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen that video, and some of you might have been thinking, is it really that easy? And when I heard about it the first time, I was also, is it really that easy? Yep. But I think I just kept your promise here. I cloud connected my environment, my production environment, in simply just 4 clicks. So it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Kent.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. We had some fun with that, but honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to help you understand, a little tiny investment of your time is going to pay all those dividends of all that new value that you get as soon as you attach Config Manager up into the cloud. All right, so with that in mind, let's talk about some of the next kind of things that I want you to connect to the cloud. Now, as you think about as you are replacing PCs, as you're upgrading PCs, one of the most important points that we would tell you is you need to make sure your data is up in the cloud and not just on your users' PCs. And so I wanted to give you a view of a new tool that's been released by the OneDrive team that's going to help us get all your data from your PCs up into the cloud. It's called the OneDrive Known Folder Move. Okay, and we're going to show you the integration we've done with Config Manager. So first of all, let me kind of give you a view of this. This is actually what the consumer experience looks like. And so your home PCs, this is what I used on my home PC to take all my data up in. You get a chance to say, hey, do you want your desktop, your documents, your pictures all moved up to the cloud? You say start protection here, and it literally moves all that data up into the cloud. It's all safe, it's all protected. Now, we have the exact same experience for you, but you can drive it now through policy, through Config Manager, and through Intune. So if you take a look at what that looks like, it looks just like the consumer experience, but up in the top here, it gives some insights. It says, hey, your IT wants to protect your data. And so here the user can say, you know what, I don't want my pictures to go up because those are my personal pictures. And they would click go and all the data would move up into the cloud. Now you're probably going to want to schedule this maybe in groups. You may not want to take your 20,000 employees and do it all at once. I'm sure that the Config Manager team here in the audience has been given trouble in the past from the networking team when you overloaded it. But the key point here is get your data into the cloud because there are 4 big immediate values that you want to take advantage of. First, all your data is backed up and secure. Second, your users can access the data now from any device anywhere on the planet. So you truly enable that modern workplace. Third, you simplify your provisioning for those users for new devices from here and forever because it's just so much easier now. You give a new device, there's nothing specific on that device that the user needs, and so you can give them a new device and they're off and running with their data. And the fourth thing is it's protected from ransomware. There's a bunch of innovation that we did between OneDrive and Windows that even if in the case where a device gets infected with ransomware, all your data, if it's up in OneDrive, is protected. And so one of the most important things for you to do is to get your data up into OneDrive. Now, one last thing I want to talk about in this particular category, about starting to move some of your workloads to the cloud. Many of you have been turning on what we have called co-management, but moving into this world where you have Config Manager and Intune working together. And you've wanted to move the capabilities to do software distribution up into the cloud, but there's been a problem, there's been a challenge. The MDM layer in Windows 10 doesn't support all your entire estate of Win32 apps. Okay, so today, we're announcing that we've added Win32 support to Intune. Okay? Yeah, what took us so long, right? Let me give you a little bit of insights into this. Today, let me give you some data points that you'll find interesting. We went and looked inside of the Config Manager database, yesterday, and I asked the question, how many applications is Config Manager managing around the globe? 6.4 million apps. There are hundreds of years of investment from the engineers across Microsoft to perfect what it means to deploy Win32 and MSI files to all your devices. Now, it would be a gross oversimplification to say it's a copy and paste from the Config Manager code base into the Intune code base, but there's some truth to that too. So all that knowledge, all that experience that we've been using, that you use today to deploy more than 6.4 million applications across your PCs, you'll have all those same capabilities in Intune as we go forward. Encourage you to go to the sessions throughout the week. You'll learn more about that. It made its debut in the August release of the August updates of Intune, and you'll see more capabilities coming in through the fall. My main point here that I would say is, you want to continue to rely upon us to deploy those Win32 applications. I hear some of the traditional MDM vendors talking about beginning to manage Windows and, hey, trust us, we can deploy your Win32 apps. I don't think you want to be their guinea pig. You want to stick with what you've been using and use the capabilities that are proven and ready to go. Okay, so with that, let's now transition to the second portion. So we've shown you how to cloud connect your existing infrastructure. So take what you've already got, start from there, connected to the cloud, and start to get new value. Let's now start to show you some of that value. Let us show you how we're going to help you unlock all this value and all the superior visibility and control. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the work that we've done on the console. And so, we announced Microsoft 365 a year ago. When we got back from Ignite last year, a group of us got together and we said, hey, we need to bring the consoles together. So the first thing that we did is an inventory of all the consoles that exist from the Microsoft 365 services. There were 24. Okay? This is anything but simple. And so we said, listen, by the time we get to Ignite next year, we better have an integrated experience. And so today what we're putting into preview is the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Microsoft 365 Admin Center is that one entry point for any IT professional who's working on Microsoft 365. Windows, Office, management, security, identity, all of that is in this integrated experience now. And then we have these experiences where from that console, you can dive down into the specialist areas you see down below here. Okay? Our goals on this were, first of all, to optimize all the daily tasks to make it easier for you. Second, to enable you to work in the teams that IT needs to work in today. And then third, to surface up the insights and make that actionable for you to be able to take action quickly. Now, again, the best thing here is just to show you how it looks like. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually give you a demo of what the Microsoft 365 Admin Center looks like. Okay, so I'm sure many of you recognize this immediately. This is what, if you've been living inside of, actually, I'm going to put it back here so I can give you the aha moment. Just pretend you didn't see that for a second, okay? And so right here, those of you who have lived inside of Office 365, you're going to recognize this console. This is what you've been living at for years, and it's the Office 365 Administration Center, or the Admin Console. What you're going to see here is up here in your top right, you're going to see this, hey, let's try the preview. And when you turn that preview on, literally, you're now going to be able to see and use the Microsoft 365 Admin Console. And so let me give you a quick tour. The first thing here is take a look at the URL. If you are a Microsoft 365 IT pro, you're going to go to admin.microsoft.com, and that's going to be your life. That's where you're going to live at. Okay? Pretty easy to remember, right? admin.microsoft.com. Everybody repeat after me. admin.microsoft.com. Okay, thank you. Up here, you see all the common tasks. So these are the common daily things that you do. If I come down here a little bit lower, these are what we call the specialist workplaces. And this you need to do a little bit more in-depth, some of those pieces. I'll come back and show you some of that in a minute. Each one of these right here is what we call a card. And these cards allow me to build my own custom dashboards of the things that I'm tracking. So you can see here things like, I want to see if there's any issues that are happening with the Microsoft services. Right here, I'm watching if any of my data, my users are creating data that has sensitive data and it's not safe and protected. I want to track any risky users, and this right here is tracking what's happening with threats and attacks against Office 365. You can see right here, I'm about to kick off an MDM deployment for my organization to almost 11,000 devices, and I'm right in the middle of deploying an update for Windows and Office. One dashboard, it's all in there. Now let me just give you some of the views of some of the new things that we're able to do in here. So I'm going to go dig into here and go into the user management. So first of all, in this particular card, in this area of Microsoft 365, there are 1.8 million monthly active users in doing work in here. It's just unbelievable the scale at which you are using the services. Some of the things that we've built in here now is the ability for you to go and do bulk actions. I can select a bunch of users, assign them to a group, reset passwords. But let me show you some of the integration that we've done to simplify looking at what a user is and what that user has rights to. So right here, I see all the data about the user, and I can change the password. This is pretty cool because in the user card, I'm surfacing up from Intune all the devices that user uses and that the user owns. So I can see all of them right there. Here I can take a look at the applications from Office that are being used from Office 365, and then I can get a view of OneDrive usage and mail usage as well. But it's all in one place. And in the past, you would have had to go to multiple consoles, but you see how we bring that all together now. Now, one of the really cool things about the Microsoft 365 Admin Center is we're going to surface to you recommendations. And you're going to hear us doing a lot of this work. We want to be able to tell you what your next best action should be. So I'm going to come back home here, and notice right here what has happened. I'm getting a recommendation that says, listen, in all of our intelligence, we are seeing that you've got a number of users that we think are risky. We think these users may be compromised. We're recommending you to do something. So you come here and it says, listen, we're recommending you turn on MFA for your admins and for your risky users. And if I were just to come in and click policy, that policy would be set and I'd be off and running. It's literally going to be that easy. But it's just such a wonderful example of how we're going to learn in the cloud, again, from those trillion of data points, the billions of authentications and millions of devices, And then we're going to apply that learning back to your individual users, to your individual devices, to your individual tenant, and help you accelerate. Just like those logarithms we talked about, this is going to help you accelerate your impact. Now, we talked about the fact that the landing page is admin.microsoft.com. One of the other values of this console is we understand that IT needs to work in teams. And so this is the IT Pro console, for the individuals who are out doing the work and the care and the feeding of the PCs, the identity, everything else. Most organizations have got a security and operations team. And so if you come right down here, you can see that I've got a security specialist area. And when I click on this, anybody want to guess what the URL is going to be? Yeah, look at that, security.microsoft.com. And here, all of the things that I'm doing from a security perspective are in there. And if I come and take a look right here, you can see from a compliance perspective, you go to compliance.microsoft.com. Okay, how many people in the room here are using Config Manager and Intune? Okay, well, your new place where you're going to be going to is devicemanagement.microsoft.com. And that's just one of those specialist pages. It all comes out of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, one place that brings all the Microsoft 365 admin together and helps you to quickly and easily get insights, get knowledge, get intelligence, and empower your users. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back to the slide deck for a minute now. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is some of the things that we're doing to help you protect and secure your devices. Now, for years, my organization, my team has worked with governments around the globe to define these templates about what a secure Windows and secure Office deployment looks like, and we call these security baselines. And for years, we've published these, okay? They get published as a set of documentation, and many of you have probably used those in the past. You go turn those into group policies and apply them. Well, today we're announcing something really, really cool in Intune. And what we're announcing is that we're going to now actually give you actual real MDM policies, the same policies that we now work in conjunction with governments around the globe. What our recommendation is to you about what a secure Windows and secure Office deployment looks like. You literally will just you'll get these templates in your console, you accept them, you accept the default settings, and you will be applying the same recommendations that we give to the governments about how their devices should be deployed. So let's take a look at that now. Let me give you a view of what that demo looks like. Okay, so we're back now in the console, and you can see right here I've got this concept of security baselines, and I'm going to go create this MDM security baseline. So here I'm looking at one baseline that I've got out right now, and I can see kind of the configuration, who's compliant, who doesn't match the compliant. But let me show you how you create a new one. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create a new policy, and I'm come here, give it a name, give it a description. And then I'm going to scroll down here and look at the settings. Okay? So if I scroll down here and take a look at the settings, there are 40 categories. There are more than 300 settings. If I just, for example, come and pop in the browser here, it'll show you the things that we think you need to set on your browser to make sure that you have a secure configuration for your browser. But 40 categories, 300 settings, they're all pre-populated, they're all pre-configured. All you literally have to do is say create, and we'll create that baseline for you. It literally is that easy. And then what you do is you come in, you take a look at that baseline. And if I go into it, I can go into assignments. Select the groups I want to assign it to. In this case, I'm going to go and select all US employees. I create that. And literally, when I say that, it is now off and running, and I have that baseline applied. So now I can come back and I can take a look at the properties. And right here, it'll show you that the number of devices that I'm now tracking and applying that baseline to has increased. But here's one of the really cool parts about this. You can use this in conjunction with your Config Manager deployments. And so you can take these security baselines, you can configure them in Intune once you've connected Config Manager in Intune, and when you say apply, just like that, we're out applying that baseline to all of your PCs because it all is a cloud-driven service. It's a push model. And so, if you want to change any of those policies for whatever the case may be, you can change all the policies on your PCs anywhere in the world. Again, I think this is pretty cool as well because this is going to give you that same knowledge in a very easy-to-use, consume way as what we deliver to all the governments of the world about how they should configure their Windows PCs and their Office deployments, okay? And that's the Intune security baselines. Now, the next thing I want to give you some ideas in terms of how we give you more insights and control is I want to talk about email. Email is the first app that all your users want to get access to. It also is one of the first things that all of you want to make sure is secure and protected. So let me give you a little bit of insights on what we're seeing in terms of trends with respect to the email apps that are being used, and then give you a view of some of the conditional access. So first of all, let me give you an insight on what we're seeing. Right now, Outlook Mobile, by far, is the #1 most used email app for accessing business data. If I go take a look at Exchange Online and I look at the telemetry, more than 50% of all mobile devices accessing Exchange Online are now using Outlook. And the reason that is, first of all, Outlook has got this phenomenal score from end users in the store. I checked last night, 4.7 in the Apple Store. Users love it. IT loves it because it has all the security and management of Microsoft 365 built into it. And so with that in mind, let me give you a little example of how we've built management security natively into this combination of Outlook and Exchange Online. And to do that, I'm going to give you a couple of examples here on some iPads. So first of all, I've got these two iPads right here. One's old, one's new. This is literally an iPad 2 that we found in the closet. Seriously. And so it's got an older version of the operating system on it. It doesn't have a power-on pin. Now, with Microsoft 365, one of the things that we pioneered here is this concept called conditional access. And what that allows us to do is you can define a policy that tells us what a trusted user is, what a trusted device is, and what a trusted app is, according to your definition. And then at the time when access is requested from the application to the service, we do a quick discovery, and then we will only give access if that combination of user, device, and app meets your criteria. And so in the demonstration I have here for you, the policy is that the device has to be at the latest version of iOS, and it has to have a power-on pin. So let me show you what happens. So here, this device, which doesn't have a power-on pin and does not have the latest version of the operating system, when I come in here and I click on Outlook, what happens is the Microsoft 365 services all work together to quickly come back and say, you know what? You can't quite get there. Your device isn't configured properly, so we're actually blocking email. Okay, and so you can just see how quickly and how effortless we're able to give you that insight. Now let's go to the updated iPad. This has a power-on pin. This has the latest release of the operating system on it. If I come here and click on Outlook, it's kind of a boring demo. The first thing it's going to ask me for a pin because I've got a policy here that requires a pin, and no one look why I put that in there. But it's kind of a boring demo because email just works, and that's the way it should be. But in this particular configuration of conditional access, the IT professional has gone in and said, listen, I require Outlook for my users to get their corporate email because Outlook has all the security built into it. So if the user now tries and goes to use the inbox email app, look what happens. You can't quite get there. You may meet the requirement of a trusted user, and your device may be trusted because it meets our configuration, but we require Outlook for your email. Click here, and we're going to help you understand what you have to do. And so it's just this wonderful example of all the innovation that we've done across the Microsoft 365 services, with Office 365, Intune, Azure Active Directory, to give you this level of security and this level of control with Outlook, which is the number one email app used on the planet for mobile devices in business. All right, so let's go back to the deck. Okay, so we've gone through 2 of our bookmarks. We talked about how you connect where you're at right there, your existing infrastructure up into the cloud. We then talked about how that gives you the additional control and visibility. Now, this is where I wanted to spend the bulk of our time at. I want to help you understand the things that we're doing to help you shift to a modern desktop. Because, as we think about the modern desktop, it really is important that you stay up to date. And so first of all, let's just do a little bit of definition. What is the modern desktop? The modern desktop is Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. Okay, I want to make sure you hear that. Windows 10 and Office 365 Pro Plus. And you're going to see here in the next minute why Pro Plus is such an important part of this. But that combination has been engineered to be used together. And across Microsoft, we engineer that. That gives the best experience for users, and it gives the best experience for IT professionals. And at the end of the day, your users are the most productive. You have the most secure configuration and platform for business at the lowest TCO. Now, I think it's important for you to actually see what the modern desktop is. Okay, and so the next thing that I want to do is I want to kind of give you a view so you get a flavor for all the innovation that we're doing in the modern desktop. And I want to ask you to just keep your eye on something for me. As we're going through this modern desktop, I want you to keep your eye on all the places where the power of the cloud is enhancing and accelerating the capabilities of the end user. Okay, deal? So keep an eye on that. And please welcome Mary to the stage to give you a view of the modern desktop. Hey, Mary.
Thank you. So we've seen some of the amazing deployment and management benefits with the modern desktop. But at the end of the day, this combination of Office and Windows is all about making your users as productive as possible. We believe the PC is still the most powerful tool for people to be able to get things done. So I just want you to imagine for a few minutes that you're one of your users, not just any user, but the skeptical one, the one that's going to ask you, why should I care about this technology? What's it going to do for me and my team? Here's what I would say. You will love the modern desktop for 3 reasons. 1, it helps you work faster and smarter. 2, it lets you get your work done wherever you are. And 3, it lets cloud AI do a lot more of the heavy lifting. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through some examples of these 3 key benefits. And I'm going to start off here with Microsoft Search in Windows, which is one place that I can quickly find whatever it is I'm looking for, whether it's apps, files, settings, people, even quick answers in Bing. Here, based on my search for software, Microsoft Search will put the actual download link right here in the search results, so I don't even have to go out and click on a web page to download this. I can search quickly for colleagues and send an IM or an email. I can see documents that they've shared with me. I can even expand this files view here and see a quick preview of documents that they've shared. And then, of course, if I forget where I've saved my own document, which I do all the time, I can just start typing a title keyword into search. And as I'm even doing that, you can see Microsoft Search starting to populate these results with document suggestions across my local machine, OneDrive for Business, and SharePoint. And this is the workbook I'm looking for. So here in Excel, I have an example of what I mean by letting the cloud do more of the heavy lifting with a really common challenge today, which is making sense of data. So first, I really want to quickly point out that I'm co-authoring with other users in the same workbook. Real-time co-authoring in the clients is something that you can only do in Pro Plus. You can't do this in perpetual Office 2019 or Office 2016 editions. So I can see here that my colleague has updated this data. There's a whole bunch of data in this workbook. Normally, I would have to create a series of pivot tables and charts to try to summarize this. But you can see here with ideas, instantly, I've just run this against a series of machine learning models in the cloud, and it's come back with some suggestions for insights that I may not have thought to look for. This one right here, for example, this marketing spend drops off very sharply. This is something that I probably wouldn't have looked for in this data, and it's something that I might want to look into a little bit further. So with one click, the correct chart and corresponding pivot table is generated instantly for me. Now, before I close this workbook, I want to take a quick snip of this chart, and I'm going to do that using the new snipping tool in Windows by hitting Windows-Shift-S. Now, I could, of course, get there through the Action Center, but we're only going to use shortcuts in this room. So remember, Windows-Shift-S. This is going to save to the clipboard, or I can pop it open quickly, and I can use pen tools to annotate or use touch or the mouse if I want to. And then I can get to my new Windows clipboard by hitting Windows-V. And you can see here the new clipboard experience allows me to save multiple items that I can copy later or paste later. I can clean things up here if I want to get rid of things. I can pin items so they stick around if I'm frequently using them. And then this Cloud Sync option does something that I think is super cool, and I'm going to show you that in a couple minutes, so stay tuned. All right. So this rich experience that you can only get in the PC itself is really the meat of the modern desktop. But Microsoft is also investing in features and tools that make both Android and iOS devices work better with the PC. So this is my Android phone. I've got my Microsoft Launcher installed on it, which is designed to work with my favorite Microsoft apps like the Outlook-focused inbox. Here I've got my recent Office 365 documents. If I want to, I can get a jump start on a PowerPoint presentation I'm working on by opening this in the PowerPoint mobile app. I can quickly add a slide if I think of something I need to work on later. Now, incidentally, this style of typing that you're seeing is something that's also available now in Windows 10 with the on-screen keyboard with SwiftKey. But what's so cool about this is when I get back to my modern desktop, I can quickly resume working on this document and pick up right where I left off by clicking this share charm right next to the file in Microsoft Launcher, it's going to send a notification to any of my linked PCs. So I can quickly open up this document, or it opens up automatically for me, and I can continue where I left off. Now, with the additional real estate of my larger screen, I can see that this is a pretty boring looking presentation. It's got all the info that I need, but it just needs some help in terms of visual appeal. So fortunately, another place where Cloud AI really delivers is with ideas in PowerPoint. By clicking on ideas here in PowerPoint, you can see it will immediately generate some professional looking designs for my title slide. What's more, it's generating suggestions for image searches, so I could go add a picture and make the slide look even better. And the suggestions in these image searches are based on the text in the slide. So if I click on wind energy here, it will pull up relevant images from Bing. I can even filter for Creative Commons images. And then if I were to change the text in the slide, the suggestions are going to update based on the new text that I put into my slide. So this is really cool. Now, the suggestions and ideas are content-based and context-based as well. So since the slide has a list in it, I get ideas for how to transform this slide in a way that makes sense design-wise. In this example, I even get iconography pulled in that corresponds with the keywords in each of the bullets that was in the text in each of these bullets, which for someone that spends way too much time hunting for icons, I absolutely love this feature. Now, in this next slide, Ideas is highlighting some of the inconsistencies in the punctuation used at the end of each bullet. So some bullets end with a period, others have no punctuation. It's looking for spelling and capitalization consistency as well. So one click cleans that right up. And then inconsistency check here is even caught that I'm spelling website differently. So in one of the bullets, I have a space between web and site. In another bullet, I've just spelled it all one word. So one click cleans that up. And then lastly, since this slide is a list of dates, I am appropriately enough getting suggestions here to transform this into a timeline visualization. So I have a few different design options I can choose from. Again, one click, and this is completely transformed. And I also just want to point out that all of this was just done in the web version of PowerPoint. So another example of how a modern desktop allows users to get their work done from anywhere. All right, I am going to switch to a different PC now. Maybe I've gone home, I've left the office, I'm working from home on my I've got my wedding photo set as my desktop background. I've got my cool new dark theme applied. Now, another feature that helps me stay on track across devices is Windows Timeline. So right here in Task View, or again, we can use the shortcut, Windows Tab, I've got this nice chronological view of activities that I've done on my device yesterday, today, earlier. It could be earlier in the week or month. It could be things that I did on a different device. So right here you see this Surface Pro 4. This was actually the machine that I was working on earlier at work. So Timeline is aggregating activities that I've done across any linked PC. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this PowerPoint presentation that I had earlier because I have a couple more things to show you. So when I launch this, it's going to ask me if I want to pick up where I left off, which I absolutely do. Okay, so remember earlier, I copied that chart in Excel on my other machine. So in Windows 10, clipboard history now roams using the same technology that powers Timeline. So if I open my clipboard on this device, there is my chart. Copy on one device, paste on another. I love this. And of course, Design Ideas is going to make it look great for me. All right, but I have one more thing to show you. So this last slide needs a photo of our launch venue. And it just so happens that we're going to do our project launch in this very room. So I'm going to take an opportunity to snap a quick photo, since you guys are such a great looking audience. Everyone say Ignite. All right, so another way that we're making the modern desktop work better with phones is through the appropriately named Your Phone app. So with Your Phone in Windows 10, Android phone users' most recent photos and text messages sync automatically to their PC. So right here, you can see this photo that I just took of everyone. You guys look amazing. And without having to email this photo to myself, I can just pull it right over into my presentation. And of course, Design Ideas makes it look fantastic for me. So, thank you. Thank you so much. So this was just a really quick highlight reel of some of the newer features in Windows 10 and Office 365. But remember, at the end of the day, your users can work faster and smarter, get work done wherever they are, and leverage cloud AI to do more of their heavy lifting. That's the benefit you get when you shift to a modern desktop. Thank you.
Pretty amazing, right? Okay, so all that stuff you just saw, all that intelligence, all that AI, you get that when you get your users into the Office Pro Plus apps. You don't get it if you're on Office 2010, you don't get it in 13, you don't get it in Office 2016, you don't get it in Office 2019. You gotta be on the cloud, okay? I'll give you a couple interesting data points here. That ideas, you know, where it does the, helps you with the creation of the slides, man, I live in that. That is like my savior. Let me give you a fascinating data point. Since we launched that in 2016, we have processed 5.4 billion slide recommendations. That's one for every 3 out of 4 people on the planet. Now here's what is even more cool about it. 4 million of those have been in the last 365 days. So the use is accelerating. So ladies and gentlemen, please put the power of the cloud in the hands of your users. Let's get them to the modern desktop, Windows 10 and Office Pro Plus. Okay, now let me give you some insights into what we're doing now in terms of what we're seeing in the enterprise with adoption of Windows 10. We talk a lot about the fact that there's 700 million Windows 10 devices deployed on the planet, but we've never given you insights about what it looks like within the enterprise. Let me walk you through what it looks like. So through August 2018, what we were seeing is Config Manager was updating a PC from Windows 7 to Windows 10 every 0.97 seconds. On August 1, for some reason, it accelerated. And now we're seeing it every 0.68 seconds. There's a device that's being upgraded by Config Manager to 7 to 10. And within the next 2 weeks, we will cross the point where there'll be more Windows 10 in the enterprise than any other version of the operating system. In fact, it'll cross the 50% line. So right here, you can benchmark yourselves. Where are you at today in your upgrade to Windows 10? Are you halfway through? If you're not, you're behind the rest of the industry. If you're ahead of that, you're ahead, as we push towards that end of service in January 2020. Yeah, I want you on Windows 10 too, right? I'm so excited about it. Now, the key thing here for you to understand is how we're going to help you, and that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time at. And so, you know, you have the end of service coming for Office 7, or Windows 7, sorry, and you have the end of service coming for Office 2010. Let's talk about the things now that we're going to do to help you to shift to those updated versions. So first of all, you know, if we take a look, we announced a couple of weeks ago some changes to our updating policies. And so we're still going to have the first half and second half releases. Now, one of the things that we're going to do is in those second half of the release, we're going to give you security updates for 30 months on that. And so if for some reason you need to stay on a build of Windows longer than 6 or 12 months, you can use that fall release, and we'll give you the security updates for 30 months. But let me just put the plug in here and strongly recommend that you figure out the tools I'm going to show you next and how to update your process and your policies to keep up with those semi-annual releases. You know, you're going to get the security updates, but there's work that we do. For example, that work that we do to protect all your data in OneDrive from ransomware, that was innovation in OneDrive and innovation in Windows. If you're not keeping up with these semi-annual updates, you're not getting the best of the operating system and the best of their productivity suite. And so what I want to show you now for the rest of the time that we have is I want to give you a view of some of the things that we're going to do to dramatically help you shift to the modern desktop. So today we're announcing what we call desktop analytics, okay? Some of you have probably used what we call workstation analytics. This is the evolution of that as we expand it to be, the breadth of what Microsoft 365 is doing. This is going to become your best friend as you stay current with those semi-annual releases of Windows. Because what we're doing with desktop analytics is we're taking everything that we learn in the cloud from those 700 million Windows 10 devices, from the 135 million monthly active users of Office 365, from the 150 million devices and PCs that we're managing with Config Manager and Intune, and we're learning, and then we're applying it to you. So let me walk you through conceptually how it works first, and I'm going to show it to you. And so we have those 700 million devices, and what you do is you turn on Config Manager, and you attach it to that service by basically setting a configuration, and it starts to send us telemetry. Now what we're able to do is take your tenant's PCs and compare that to what we see across the 700 million, and we give you a readiness report and give you a point of view on your hardware, your drivers, your office add-ins, your third-party applications, and even those applications that only exist in your company. This is revolutionary. These are things that we've dreamed about doing for years, but the technology wasn't there to enable it yet. We are now going to give you a point of view of every single app and every single piece of hardware if it's ready to go to the next version of Windows. Now, if for some reason we find a problem, we have this new service that we announced that starts October 1 called the Fast Track Desktop App Assurance. And what this program is, if you find an application that appears to have a compatibility problem, you're going to contact my engineering team. We're going to look at the application. If it's a Windows problem, we're going to go fix Windows. If it's an application problem, we're going to do our best to help you fix the application. And I'll give you a couple of interesting data points. As we've worked with a number of customers getting this all built, we had a view of 60,000 applications in the enterprise. Of those 60,000 applications, we found 55 that had compatibility issues. That's 3/100th of 1%. That's the kind of compatibility that Windows 10 has with Windows 7. So you need to start upgrading, and don't be concerned as you've been in the past about compatibility, because the Windows team has just done a phenomenal job of that. But as we learned in that Desktop App Assure program, we feed all that back into the readiness program, and so we get smarter. The Windows operating system gets better, and then we close the loop by then putting that back into Configuration Manager, and you have a policy now that will automatically upgrade all of your devices using that intelligence from the cloud. Pretty cool, right? Oh, come on. This is cool stuff. Okay, so let's show you how it actually works here now. So let me give you a demo of this. So first of all, you can come to the website, and you can come type in the name of any application. In this case, I'm going to go put in Teams here. And when I take a look here, I want to look at just what Microsoft knows about any Teams add-ins. And so you can see here, we can say that for Windows 1803, here's the version of the add-in that you need. There are thousands of ISVs that have input data into our system, so we can give you what the ISV has said about compatibility. But we also take what we learned from those 700 million PCs and feed that in. But let's now show you how you're going to do this for all your estate at once. And so here I am now inside of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and I'm here in the device management experience. I'm going to come to the bottom here and click on this Update Readiness. This takes you into Desktop Analytics. Let me introduce you to the Desktop Analytics console. Right here I get a view of all my PCs, the apps that are being used, as well as the plugins. Interesting data point here, what we see in Config Manager is the average enterprise has 2,000 apps that they're deploying through Config Manager. Now, the concept here is we're going to help you learn from what we know in the cloud and rapidly deploy out to a pilot group so you can get real-world experience. So you do that by creating a deployment plan. I'm going to deploy the latest version of Windows and Office. You come in here and you set up device groups, and so you select the group you want it to target to. Those groups you're seeing, those are my Config Manager groups. So Desktop's Analytics rides right on top of Config Manager today, and we'll integrate with Intune in the future. But right now, all of you are on Config Manager, so that's where we're starting at. I'm going to set that as my target and create that policy. So here you see all of the policies that are in play right now. I'm going to come down and take a look at this right here, this US East. Now, what you see here, first of all, is you can get a status of what the deployment progress is. But if I scan down here a little bit, what you see now is we have these 3 steps: prepare, pilot, and then deploy. And so what we're trying to do here is help you understand how to quickly get into a pilot so you can actually test in production your applications, your hardware, verify that, increase your confidence so you can move forward for the entire enterprise. So the first thing that we're going to do here is you help us identify the importance of your apps. So right here you have a policy where I can say, hey, if I see an application on less than 2% of my PCs, by default, I don't want to consider that to be important. Okay? It's in the long tail and it's not important to me. But we also give you a view here of all the applications that you have, and you can come in here and you can tell us which ones are important and which ones are mission critical. Now I'm going to go click on this particular Contoso app. This is an internal line of business application. And right here you're seeing that we're now surfacing up information about your internal app, an app that appears nowhere else on the planet. And we're going to help you understand if there is a compatibility issue with your app and what needs to be done. This is where you can tie into that fast track program call, so we'll help you get it done. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. Now the next thing we want to help you understand what to do is how to create your pilot group. And so what you want to do is create a pilot group to deploy into that is representative of all your estate. So I come in here, I create the pilot group. Now there were 22 devices in that Config Manager group that I selected. Those 22 devices will give me 53.04% coverage of my estate, my hardware, my apps, and my Office add-ins. Here's one of the coolest parts about Desktop Analytics. We come back and say, listen, if you add these 89 devices, it'll increase your percentage by 47%, and actually give you 100% coverage of all of your estates. You can actually now test in production all of your apps, on all of your hardware, all your drivers, and verify that it's working, that what Microsoft has told you in this is accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and show you then what it looks like. This is where you set it all up in. And then in terms of where you'll track it at, you'll do all your tracking in Config Manager. So here you're looking at, you can see the Microsoft 365 servicing, Brad's deployment plan that I created right here, and right here I'm able to track all of that deployment, the pilot, and then once you get it piloted and you get that feedback back and you verify that in fact all your applications work on that group of PCs that are representative, you can then roll it out to the rest of the organization quickly. And so one of the primary things that we need you to do here is start to use these capabilities, use them as you go from 7 to 10, and then you're going to use it every time that you go from 10 to 10 to 10 to 10. This is going to become just a part of your normal routine as you do all your upgrade. And as I scan down here a little bit more, you can see things like we're going to give you more insights in the application that you should be working on and verifying, but all this information surfaced up inside your console. So let me give you a little more insights on a couple of pieces. This Desktop App Assure program, the brainchild of one of the individuals in the room here named Mike Adams. And this literally was this insight of the main thing that prevents users from moving faster with this on the cadence is concern that their apps are going to break. And so our commitment here to you is if you find an issue that there's a compatibility with Windows, we want to fix it. We want Windows to be better, and we want to increase our readiness capabilities. And so you literally will be able to call my team directly. Now internally, as we built this, we called it No App Left Behind. That was the code name of the project. But what an amazing opportunity for us to learn together with you and help make sure that you're unblocked. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about Fast Track. Fast Track is a program that most of you are entitled to. And what it allows you to do is you issue a Fast Track request, and we will help you, or we will connect you with a partner to help you deploy the Microsoft 365 services. This is one of the best things that we put together over the last 4 or 5 years. And in the last 12 months, we helped 40,000 unique customers deploy Microsoft 365 or the components within it. Now, what's beautiful about this from my viewpoint is that Fast Track organization, which is an engineering team that sits in my team, and it allows us to work directly with all of you. And then as we learn, if we find an issue, we find an opportunity, we find something that we can do to simplify, that's a direct loop into the engineering team. And we have this virtuous loop here where we're all learning together. And that's one of the reasons why you see us making so much progress so fast, is because that Fast Track organization is enabling us to have a connection with you and learn with you like we've never had before. Now, one of the key things that we talk about deploying Windows is autopilot. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to tell you about that are new in autopilot. The first thing is we now have autopilot 100% hands-free. So I'm going to kick this off so you can see the experience. So obviously this is a time-lapse experience here. We've compressed it, but last year when we were here, we introduced autopilot to you. And at that point, a user had to input 4 different data points in order to fully provision a device from the cloud. What you're seeing here is a 100% hands-free innovation inside of autopilot. And so now you can actually have a device automatically be re-provisioned. It can be, if for some reason you've got a kiosk, you've got some kind of a task-based device, you can have that reset every night if you want to, because this now runs 100% hands-off. Okay? Now, the reception from all of you about autopilot has been phenomenal. I mean, it's been wonderful to hear your feedback on it. But there's been one very, very consistent set of feedback from all of you in terms of what you want. And that is you want autopilot to be able to apply to all of your devices, not just the new PCs that you purchase from the OEMs that support it. So there's another thing I'm going to announce today. And that is we have figured out how through Autopilot, Config Manager, and Intune to extend Autopilot to all of your existing hardware in your estate. Okay? So let's just do a quick refresher. The way that Autopilot works, you buy new hardware, your hardware provider loads up a bunch of information in the Autopilot service for us, the device ships out to the user, they turn it on, and it's provisioned. It's magical, it's beautiful. What we do now is with your existing Windows 7 devices, as you are upgrading them to Windows 10, if you're using the OS deployment capabilities of Config Manager, in the task sequencer, you can have the work gets done that basically prepares the device for Autopilot. Your users, that same experience you just saw is the exact experience that your users will see as they're upgrading from 7 to 10. And then that connection with Intune just loads all the information into Autopilot. And so that's how we're extending the capabilities of Autopilot to all of your existing hardware. I think this is an amazing innovation that the team came up with, and I'm so happy that they did it. Right, now, the next thing I want to talk to you about in terms of the shift to the modern desktop is how you can go from the perpetual MSI Office to the Office Pro Plus Click to Run. Okay, so those of you who have done this, this is a redeploy, this is a reinstall. And for those of you who have done it, a reinstall of Office could take, a little bit of time. It can take 30, 40 minutes. Well, again, the teams all working together have done some amazing things. And so now what we have done is we have the ability inside a config manager to build a policy where you literally, it's 2 slider buttons, and you can automatically set a policy now to upgrade all your PCs from perpetual MSI to Pro Plus Click to Run. So what you're looking at here is the config manager console. This last screen that you're looking at right here, this is literally content that's coming down from the web that's published by the Office organization. And so it's live. We can update that. And so it's another one of those examples where config manager is attaching to the Microsoft Cloud. Those 2 slider buttons, I want you to upgrade all my devices to the Office Pro Click to Run, and I want you to remove any of the MSI leftovers from Office. You enable that, you push the policy to the config manager, we'll pre-stage the bits down to the user's PC, and then we will quickly reinstall the Click to Run Office. In a bunch of our tests, we've been able to do this on 7 to 8 minutes per PC, but it's the tools like this that are going to help you to be able to quickly shift to Office Pro Plus and put all that power that you saw in that demo into the hands of your users, okay? Now, one more announcement. Today we announced what we call Windows Virtual Desktop. And this is your modern desktop running in the cloud. And so I'll give you a little bit of context on this. This is literally a VDI solution where you can VDI the entire desktop, or you can do an application up in the cloud. It's the only way that you can do a multi-user Windows 10 experience in a shared cloud. It scales beautifully. It's optimized for Pro Plus. Literally, there have been changes in Windows Virtual Desktop and Office Pro Plus made to make sure that that is the optimal experience. And incidentally, the most commonly remoted app in the world, Office. Okay? And then it deploys and scales in minutes. And so what I want to give you a view here is exactly how this solution works. And so what I want to do now is actually jump into a demo here. And I'm going to give you a view of a couple of different experiences with Windows Virtual Desktop. Okay, so I'm running a desktop right now, and you can see I've got Excel up here. This app happens to be a full VDI session. You can come in here, and you can see that it's nice and fast. It's very performant. Now, this VDI session is actually running back on the West Coast in one of our Azure data centers, so 2,500 miles away from right now. It's very quick. It's very slick. Now, let me give you a little bit of surprise here. If I come and show you where this app is actually running, this VDI session is actually being delivered through the browser. There's not even an agent deployed on the device. This is just an HTML plugin. So it truly does enable you to take and give your users access to all your organization's applications on any device on the planet, because nothing ever has to be installed on the device. It's just an HTML plugin. Truly is enabling that capability. And then if I were to take a look here at the users, you can see I've got multiple users authenticated, logging on, using this. If you want to use Windows 10 in a multi-user scenario in the public cloud, that is included in the Windows Virtual Desktop license. Now, let me go and transition you to another device. Now, this is actually running on a Surface Go in the back. Okay, so you can see that I've got PowerPoint up and running here. Again, nice and fluid. I've also got Word up and running. Now, one of the things I want to see if you can figure out is which application is virtual, which application is local. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take PowerPoint here. I'm going to flip it over to the side. You can see that I've got Word over here. I can do things like copy. I can come over here, paste that data in. It's just fluid. So the user gets this great experience. This is all being deployed down to the device through Config Manager or Intune. So the user gets this integrated, just wonderful experience. For an IT professional, it's one administrative console to manage my local clients or my local applications, my web applications, my virtual applications. And it's just that beautiful experience that you should come to expect when you use Microsoft 365. Okay, now who here thought that Word was the virtual application? Okay, it actually was PowerPoint. How can you tell? The only way you can tell is that little icon right there. Okay? But that is actually the point. It's such a wonderful experience. The user never really knows if it's virtual or if it's local, because the Windows Virtual Desktop has done such a phenomenal team of extending it in and having it integrate with the rest. So go back to the slide deck. Now, one last thing I want to tell you about Windows Virtual Desktop. When you think about VDI in the cloud, you've got the control plane, and then you've got the capacity, the VM that's being used. The control plane is what we call Windows Virtual Desktop. Here's something really, really cool. First of all, you can run Windows 10 and Windows 7 in Windows Virtual Desktop, and we're going to let you run Windows 7 in Windows Virtual Desktop for 3 years after the end of service of Windows 7 without paying extended support. Okay? The second thing that's really cool about this is that control plane for Windows Virtual Desktop is a part of your Windows E3 license. So what that means is most of you in here own the rights to use this as soon as we put it into preview and release later this year. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now let me kind of wrap a few of this up a little bit for us. So first of all, the modern desktop is for all users. It's for the boardroom. It's for your information workers. It's for your first line workers. And one of the great things about the Windows PC line with our OEMs is you just have such a rich set of capabilities, a rich set of devices you can choose from. You know, and as you think about your first line workers, these individuals that are out, you know, front and center with your customers, often they're working on the cellular network and not on your Wi-Fi network. So today we're also announcing the fact that Intune is the first MDM or Unified Endpoint Management solution to actually now provide support for configuring the eSIM. So you can now manage your eSIMs, you can manage all your cellular plans through that Intune console as you think about how you enable your first line workers. And again, it's just, you know, making sure that your users of all kind have that power of the cloud at their fingertips. So I want to end with a couple of stories and give you some examples of people who are using this. I get asked all the time, what does Microsoft do? Okay, what is Microsoft doing? How do you manage your devices? How do you secure your devices? And so I wanted to start here and to give you a view of, we actually just finished rolling out conditional access and requiring Intune on every single mobile device in the company. And so for us, you know, now to get access to any kind of content, any kind of data at Microsoft, your device has to be Intune managed and it has to be compliant with our policy. So let me show you the actual dashboard that our CISO uses. Okay, so here's the dashboard, the internal dashboard of the rollout of conditional access and Intune enrollment for iOS and Android. Give you a couple of highlights. You can see right here the rate of deployment. So we went from, you know, in two and a half months, from 50,000 devices to just short of 150,000 devices that are being managed through Intune at the company. We saw 0 increase in the number of help desk calls, and that's a really critical thing. The last thing you want to do is roll out something that, you know, often users don't want. Like, users don't want you to take over their personal device. And so it was beautiful to see that as we rolled this out, we saw no increase at all in the help desk. And you can see here we had a 99.9 or 66% success rate in enrolling all the devices inside of Intune. And then on the right-hand side here, some interesting data about, so when we do find devices that are not compliant, what's the reason? So you see we have a handful of iOS devices by our employees. Those are all, there's not a power on pin, in case that can easily be fixed. You see there are about 4,400 Android devices that are non-compliant. Those are almost all devices, these cheap, inexpensive Android devices that don't support encryption. And so for our policy, we just block those. But we give the user the data that they need to have. Now, it's great to see what Brett, our CISO, said. He said, hey, we've been able to significantly increase our security posture without a financial impact. And then, you know, this made my heart, you know, kind of sing internally. As we, you know, use conditional access, Intune becomes the oxygen for the company. I love Brett. Let me tell you about 3 others that I think are just doing amazing things and just have done an amazing job of quantifying the benefits of the modern desktop and Microsoft 365. So first of all, Suez, 90,000 employees across 5 continents. Like, one of the things that these individuals, this organization does is they supply drinking water to 92 million individuals, you know, in the continents where they work. They're a huge user of Teams. And they have come back and said Teams gives them such a competitive advantage. And in one of their businesses, you know, this waste acquisition, they believe that their market share has increased by 10% because of what Microsoft 365 has done for them. That's just amazing. Second, Mediterranean Shipping Company. You know, this is an organization that has 460 of these ships. These are 1/4 of a mile long. I'll guarantee every one of us uses something that was shipped on one of these ships around the globe. They went from 61 email systems to 1. And they come back and said, you know what? We're saving 45% of our IT budget from what we used to spend in terms of productivity tools when we use Microsoft 365. Let me tell you a little bit about Corona. Corona is one of the suburbs of Los Angeles. And this is an IT team that is passionate about improving the lives of the citizens of Corona. Let's just hear from them. Let's watch the video.
I've always had a fascination with just tinkering and playing with things.
You want to take out that one?
It's a puzzle.
I think that every CIO needs the person who's fearless, who will go out and do radical things sometimes.
I wanted to come to the government to help bring a change to something that I saw as broken. Every department that the city has, we have ownership over the IT operations. We are a 40 square mile city, and so we have a lot of assets that we have to manage. I want to say we have about 1,000 devices. How do we take all these disparate systems and move them into one? In this view, I'm able to see all of our security updates and which devices still haven't been upgraded. With Windows 10 and Office 365, we're able to better collaborate and become more efficient, or it'll be safe and secure. The racks actually used to go all the way to the wall back there. We no longer need them because we moved to Azure.
It's analytics that provide us the ability to make better decisions. It's going to improve our ability to fight fire.
With the modern desktop, they can stay out in the field and we push feature updates.
The minute that you allow them to be creative, it's the most amazing thing.
We're the IT department of yes and can do and change. We can actually do something that no one else has ever done before. We want to start a dialogue and a relationship with the citizens in this community. When I'm given the freedom to do that is when I'm most excited.
That's just heroes to me. And we're happy to have Chris and Kyle right here. Why don't you stand up and let's recognize you for the work you're doing. You know, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us, okay? I found out that Kyle graduated from the same university I did, so I even like him more now. Okay, so now, what's the call to action? What would we ask you to go do, okay? So when today, okay, maybe when you get home, these three things: Cloud Connect what you have, Active Directory connected to Azure Active Directory, Config Manager connected to Intune. Get all your data up into OneDrive through that known folder move. Start to use that visibility and control. Start to use the new Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Enable conditional access. It's critical to how you secure your organization. And start to use these new Intune security baselines. And then shift to the modern desktop and put the power of the cloud in the hands of your users. Simplify your upgrade using the desktop analytics capabilities. You know, today you're going to use workstation analytics, and as we release this in early next year, you'll be able to use the full desktop analytics capabilities. Shift from Office to Office Pro Plus. All that amazing things that Mary showed to you. Your users need that. Your users want that. I don't think there's anyone in this room that's going to say your users wouldn't love to have that. So how can we help you get there? But shift to Office Pro Plus. And then finish your upgrade to Windows 10, you know, by January 2020. And do it in a way using the tools that we just showed you so you set yourself up for the future. Set yourself up so that you can keep up with that first half and second half releases. And if you do it right, you use all the new innovations in Autopilot, you use the desktop analytics, you can build confidence that we're not going to break you. You can build confidence in the data that we provide you and the intelligence from the cloud, and you'll be able to accelerate your impact by using that knowledge. Now let's end where we started, okay? We talked about Napier. So back in 1614, this truly was one of those moments where the world changed. When he published those logarithmic tables, that was a moment where literally humankind and our society just took a tremendously logarithmic, step forward. I look now at what all of you do, and I see IT professionals that have the ability to have a similar kind of impact on your organizations. Now, it could be just me, but I think they look alike. And as we work together, and we give you that intelligence, we help you understand, we help you accelerate your impact, we believe that you can deliver that modern workplace, that modern desktop to all your users, and really empower them and really enable them to achieve more. We look at what we get to do, and the fact that we get to partner with all of you in your businesses, and we just have the best jobs on the planet. We really appreciate the confidence and trust that you put in us. We'll do our best and not let you down. But thank you for allowing us to partner with you, and thank you for being just here with us this week. Have a great rest of your night.